and you've just entered the mind of the musician. Welcome to Mind of the Musician. This is your host, Trey, live from 2 a.m. studios again. Today, I have the pleasure of having a young man that I've known for quite some time. I might be biased when I say he's one of the most outstanding keyboardists that I know. Maybe a little biased. I'd like to welcome Sam Prather to the studio. What's up, Sam?
What's up? I'm trying to pretend like I haven't spent hours and hours on top of hours here, mixing, recording, and everything. But yeah, welcome. Yeah, it feels good to be here.
Yeah. I know this is like second home to you.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of nights here. Well, it's a newer home because we moved from another couple studios, so it's a little newer.
This is true.
So speaking of home and speaking of spending numbers of hours in the studio, I was thinking, I'm like, what am I going to ask Sam that I don't already know, and I'm not going to have to fake like I don't already know this stuff. And I was like, it's a couple things that I asked other folks that I don't really know about you. As, for example, being that you are one of those Renaissance musicians that I like to talk about all the time, where did you start at? Where did this all start at?
I think really just a combination of me being jealous of my sister taking piano lessons. And so I started playing a little bit by ear, some of the stuff that, I would hear her playing and everybody fawning over her, oh, that's so great. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, look, I can do something. And
similar rivalry.
I mean, yeah, she had a healthy head start, though. She was always a good what do you call it? Target to aim for. She was a high achiever. I'm glad I had a.
Right. I know your sister, so I know you got a lot of competition there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, at least you got her on the keyboards, though.
Yeah.
At least you caught it there.
Yeah.
So that is that where you started at? Just did you start with lessons, or what'd you do?
No, I was plunking around for a couple years, and I went to church every Sunday, had a great minister of music there, Darrell Owens, and would just see him work every Sunday, and then after a point, he would have me kind of start a service off or something if he was going to be late or things like that.
And that's before lessons?
That was, before, I took...
Before any training, you just started sitting down and messing around?
Yeah, I mean, especially on drums, because I play drums too. So the drummer.
So let's back it up a little bit. That's where I guess I'm trying to figure out.
Right.
You started plunking around on both first, or keyboards first, piano first, and then jumping on the drums.
Yeah, I mean, both of them were always. People always ask me which one did I play first or what's my strongest, and there's not really. They're both pretty even. I've been playing. Whether it was beating on the desk and with pencils or, just kind of plunking out notes on the piano whenever I had access to one. I always loved both. And so they both came up at the same time. I took private lessons for piano first from Dr. Ellis, and then I went into DC Youth Orchestra and studied percussion there.
And how long ago was that? How old were you when you started?
Oh, Lord Jesus.
You worse than my grandfather, man. And he 80. He can remember some of the stuff. Come on.
It's scary to say this, but it's most of this stuff has happened, 15, 20 years ago. I started taking private lessons, I think, in elementary school.
Okay.
And on piano, and in junior high school is when I started taking formal lessons on snare drum.
Oh, okay. So like some drumline type of stuff.
More concert band,
Gotcha.
Like the big number was like Indiana Jones theme song.
Look, I sit through those concerts right now, so I know exactly what you're talking about. That's what's up. I never actually knew that part of the story.
Yeah, that and I forgot I was singing back then too.
Back then too?
Yeah, it was just as terrible. I mean, no, we had a.
Your singing's come a long way.
Yeah,
I must say.
it's come a long way since then. But there was a little. Well, there was a couple plays in elementary school and a little choir and stuff. And yeah, I was always trying to do everything.
So where did I know you have a strong draw to jazz? Where did that come in at?
That came in. My father liked smooth jazz, and funk and soul and stuff. But the real jazz kind of came to the picture when I met Kenneth Dickerson in high school. So he was the one. Him and the Monk Institute had a thing where they sponsored a trip for all the music students in the area to go down and hear bands that were in town to play at Blues Alley. And I thank God for that. I got the first band that I got to see play jazz live, I believe, was Michael Brecker, his quartet, and that was Jeff Tain, Watts, James Genius, Joey Calderazzo, Michael Brecker. And I mean,
Did you even know who they were at that time? Or?
No, I had no idea who.
Right.
The band director was like, well, the drummer, he played on the Tonight Show, and that was I was like, oh wow, he played on Tonight Show, not knowing,
right.
like these cats on the stage were like just huge heavyweights in jazz. And then they also took us to see Branford's band there, George Duke, Danilo Perez. I mean, it was nuts. It was I was in an extremely good place at the right time.
So did you start digging into the crates and start finding things, or
you
just kind of just heard it from teachers, or where did that come from?
No, once I saw it, I was done. Okay. So I mean, I went and found every record that I could find with Branford and Tain on it, and Michael Brecker, and then kind of worked that, and then with the teachers guys, started working my way backwards into some of the guys that they were listening to, but that was really where it came from.
Well, I know you still like. I know you from R&B stuff. That's the beginning. Touring all over the world with YaMama'Nym. That's a whole nother interview section about that.
Yeah, and I was a terrible R&B keyboard player.
It got better. Over the years, it got definitely better. There was a lot of fighting in there, but
yeah, it took a couple years for Dennis to actually get me to use a Rhodes. I was like, piano's all I play.
Right, and only 88 keys.
Right, only 88 keys.
And I gotta look at everywhere.
Right, yeah.
But your new album, Samuel Prather Groove Orchestra, I know it's shameless plugging, but we gotta do it.
sell these records.
Exactly.
I got babies.
Right. Couple babies.
I got 2 babies.
So Groove Orchestra, I feel like is some of that jazz influence in there, but it's also that R&B feel as well, with a lot of other little things meshed in there, but the heavy jazz R&B feeling is in there. Is that from what you learned from being with your mom and playing all around D.C., I guess? Is that where you kind of felt the combination coming at?
I think that in a lot of ways, this is kind of like the sound that I kind of always had for YaMama'Nym stuff. And I know in some of the outside stuff, that's probably why that stuff got shot down. They're like, no, we're not doing all that crazy mess on the R&B gig. It came from just being in D.C. where all that stuff is happening, because there's a real kind of smooth jazz scene, and there's a real straight ahead jazz scene, and there's also like a real great neo soul scene. And I play in all of those. I mean, the gospel scene as well. But I play in all those, and so I don't really think about them as being separate. Just extensions of myself, and in different arenas. Not to mention go-go. You can't be from DC and not have that in your blood somewhere. But
right. So one of I guess the first single that we released off of that album. Is actually not an original, but original composition. Is I Want to Be Where You Are, which got a lot of hits on YouTube. can always get a few more, but got a lot of hits on YouTube
Yeah.
already. And as we were talking about earlier, knowing that the original writer of the tune actually dug it is I guess a stamp in the book as well.
Oh, yeah.
Leon Ware, he actually was feeling it. I know you were glad to hear that, correct?
Oh yeah, it was. There's a lot of. I've always been like into kind of the history of whatever I'm playing. So it was a real treat to know that he heard it and dug it.
Yeah, and the first time I heard it, I was like, man. At first I was like, oh God, he gonna do Where You Are, jazz fan. But after hearing it, it was like, wow, that's actually really deep, and it's really moving, and it's not even just like, oh, it's just another rendition of somebody trying to pull off another song that everybody's heard over and over again. It actually really worked. I know the video is tight, and we got Micah and Christy on there singing the vocals, but you mind giving us a little bit of it yourself?
Yeah, and also that kind of helped expose where the concept came from, because that started out as being, well, I don't know, Michael Jackson singing. He did a phenomenal job. Love his version, love Marvin's version. I love Leon's version.
Here come the butt.
But the thing about it is the most popular version that everybody knows is being sung by a child, which is
right.
But the song is kind of real grown, and
right.
so Leon, he wrote Marvin Gaye's "I Want You" album. The whole record is his tunes, and so I wanted to kind of bring it back to that grown feel, that what it was.
When you listen to the lyrics, it's definitely a lot deeper than what you hear, what you've been dancing to for over the years. It's definitely a lot into it. And your version definitely makes you actually listen to. And I think somebody even said that on one of the posts or something. Like, that's the first time I actually listened to the words of that song. So give us a little bit of that.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Can it be I stayed away too long? Did I leave your mind while I was gone? It's not my thing trying to get back, but this time let me tell you where I'm at. You don't have to worry, 'cause I'm coming back to where you should have always stayed. And now I know the meaning of your story, and it's enough love for me to stay. Can it be I stayed away too long? Did I leave your mind while I was gone? It's not my thing trying to get back, but this time, baby, let me show you where I'm at. I wanna be where you are. Oh, 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 where you are. Oh, oh, I wanna be where you are. I wanna be where you are. where you are. Oh, I wanna be where you are. Oh, I wanna be where you are. Oh, I wanna be where you are. Oh, 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 where you are. Oh, I wanna be where you are. Oh, I wanna be where you are. Can it be I stayed away too long?
Nice. So when you were picking that song, Sam, was it the lyrics that really drove you to or was it the actual music itself that drove you to pick that? That was outstanding, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to do justice to the great cats that I had do it on the album.
Right.
Mike and Christy murdered it. But yeah, I mean, what really brought me to that tune, well, to revisit it was the lyrics.
Right.
So I mean, I've always loved that tune. I've always loved all the versions of it, but it was really hearing those lyrics and hearing Leon Ware's story.
Right.
That kind of brought me back to it, because when I heard it's like he had recorded the whole "I Want You" album himself, and then they were like,
for Marvin Gaye.
yeah, for Marvin,
yeah.
and then they was like, oh man, this album is great. We're gonna have Marvin sing all the parts for it, like all the vocals on it. It's gonna be Marvin's album, and I was like, ouch, man. That's like, man, you know.
Some of the great cats have done that same thing.
yeah. I mean, you know, Smokey Robinson, you know, a lot of stuff that we recognize as other people's tunes are his tunes.
Right.
The same thing, you know, Babyface and whatnot. And Leon Ware is another one of those guys where it's just like you never know where you're gonna hear his stuff. But it's funny, like I was just like, let me give him back his voice.
Right.
You know, that adult, you know, just soulful thing that he does so well. So that's really what made me revisit the tune.
What made me ask you that is that I always wonder, what are you doing with lyrics? Are you really listening to lyrics? That's when I'm like, oh, I spent all this time on the road or whatever with you, but I never know. Are you ever listening to lyrics? I mean, sometimes I'll be wondering, are you just listening to the tune itself, or do you listen to lyrics? But then sometimes I'm listening to your songs. I'm like, oh, this dude is really listening. He must be, and maybe he's just faking the funk. Or how important are the lyrics to you in songs? Is it that important to you, or is it equal?
It depends on the tune. Some songs, lyrics are really important, and some songs they're not. And you know, we can go down the list of you know, top tunes of all time, and right. I bet you half of them you could probably throw out half the lyrics and switch them with something else, and it wouldn't make a difference. And quite the opposite on some others. So it really just depends. But I think that especially when you're talking about ballads, right. R&B, like the lyrical content becomes a lot more important.
Well, the other night at one of the shows, you were doing a jazz tune. What was it? Here Comes Mrs. Jones, or How I Met Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, Have You Met Mrs. Jones?
Have You Met Mrs. Jones?
Yeah.
Just play a little bit of it for me. It's just for giggles. Just give me a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, have you met Miss Jones?
Right.
Is what they said when we first met. She's only Mrs. Jones to me. Now you see Miss Jones to be the type who'd understand a man like me must be free. And all at once I lost my breath, and all at once was scared to death, and all at once I did possess the earth and sky. My wife's favorite part. Now me and Miss Jones will keep on meeting till we die, Miss Jones and I.
All right. Don't make eye contact me when you doing that song with me.
What I look like calling that man delicious?
You almost had me for a minute, saying when looking in your eyes, singing
Right, yeah. It was Prince. Don't look in his eyes.
So, for example, when I was listening to you do that, I'm like, is he listening to the lyrics in a song like that? But then the tune is so good itself, musically. You know, I just wonder on a tune like that, what did you pick out on that? What did you pick up on that?
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna I'm gonna be like a politician. I'm gonna recharacterize my previous answer. I don't think I listen to lyrics. I listen to a story.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times where I find myself, saying maybe a slightly different lyric, but I almost always, if it's a story that makes sense to me, then I always tell the story right. So yeah, I think it's if a tune is a story, then you're kind of bound to follow the story.
Yeah,
which
no
is
doubt.
why you get so mad when people jack up the lyrics when you do it live and it's a good storytelling
Right, and then
tune.
you missed the story, right, like
Right.
messing up your favorite story.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you mentioned your lovely wife in that song, giving her props, and I know she'll be glad to hear that.
Yeah,
shout
love
out
you,
on
baby. Yeah.
But when we were doing the YaMama'Nym album, I think of one of the R&B. And I keep going back and forth with lyrics with you. I guess I'm stuck on that. You wrote a ballad that I'm sure was about your wife, and I was just listening to it the other day, and I was like, man, I gotta get some thought behind where you came up with that one from, and what came first? What came first, the lyrics or the music on that? Because you could feel. I felt the like emotion on it, you know what I mean? Even though you weren't singing it, was our good friend KJ singing it, but I felt the emotion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that came music first, but just.
By the way, the song is amazing. I better at least make sure we say that. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, it came as a musical thing first, and then sometimes it takes weeks or something to write a song. Sometimes it takes minutes, and it just so happened that I played the first couple songs to that and just started writing, and it just the song was finished in probably like 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
The words, mean everything.
I mean, pretty much the structure, the structure of the tune. I mean, I think the bridge, which I hopefully won't jack up too bad, came maybe a little bit later. But for the most part, that tune was written in 20 minutes.
Those 15, 20-minute songs are the best.
Yeah, You Still Are.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
You Still Are was another one that was just like
those songs you can never beat, because the other ones you had to grind out. Sometimes you feel it after you hear somebody singing it. You feel like I feel the pain in trying to write that thing. Well, before I get you to play a little bit of that, let me ask you one more question. Just one more. So when you're writing a tune, just out of curiosity, most of the time, is it thoughts about like nostalgic thoughts that you start pulling from, or do you pull from something recent, or what do you do? Especially like on that tune, like I said, I'm sure there's some wifey up in there. So where do you pull from?
I gotta answer this carefully.
Answer it honestly.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna beat you over here.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, there's a well, my wife has a couple tunes that I've written for her. Some she's not as happy about, like A Chance to Love You, which is kind of also. But yeah, I mean, it's I'll write a tune about anything about that I'm thinking about, any melodic figure that comes to mind, especially the ones that come quickly. So those are usually kind of spurred by either an event or something that I'm listening to, and I'll kind of be thinking about, in that vibe and just like kind of an extension of what I'm hearing will kind of come out, and I say, okay, well, that's a good place to start. But yeah, it can be literally anything.
Pulling from different places. That one came from what? Let's get you in trouble.
Yeah, no. That one, no. This won't get me in trouble. This gets me points because actually at that time, I was actually considering, and I didn't submit it. I kind of punked out, but I was thinking about actually proposing in the album cover, and that probably would have been. Anyway, like that would have been the best musical proposal of all time. Like,
yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I would have been cool with that one.
Yeah, I think at the given timeline, we had a little one on the way, and I didn't want to make her wait till, so I ended up proposing before the album got there.
Gotcha.
But. Yeah.
All right. Enough cool points for you.
Yeah,
got cool points.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little bit of that tune. Let's hear a little bit of it.
All right. I have so much to say, but I don't know where to start. I can't do much more than simply say what's on my heart. You take me to a place where I can see a future bright. I am so at peace when you are by my side. And baby, I am so amazed that you are mine. After time I've learned that love is not just what you say. Love is how you and I have grown closer every day. You've made yourself a part of me, and I still wonder why. Of those you could have had, you're still in my life. And baby, I am so amazed that you are mine. Baby, I am so amazed that you are mine. Baby, I am so amazed that you are mine. You are mine.
So of course that's one of my favorites right there. And like I told you, stop looking in the eyes when you sing those songs. Mm-hmm. But man, I learned a lot about it. I guess we need to talk more instead of just making this music in here all the time. Maybe we can actually hold more than a conversation about music.
Yeah.
Or other million things that we talk about that are just frivolous.
I was about to say, it definitely will not be included in this interview.
Exactly. Well, thank you for coming through again, Sam, and everybody check out Sam's latest project, Samuel Prather Groove Orchestra. You won't be disappointed. Check them out on YouTube, Facebook. You Instagramming that?
I'm on it. I just have no idea how to use it. So
Instagram,
yeah.
Twitter, all that. Check them out. Talented young brother. Glad I known him for many years, and definitely go check him out. Once again, Mind the Musician, Sam Prather.
Can it be I stayed away